Hi, welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope you all had a very happy holiday season and are ready for more tier lists. So if I've got my timings right, then this video will be going out in the first full week of January, and today we are tier listing all of season 13 of classic Doctor Who from 1975 to 1976. So first up is Terror of the Zygons. Now this serial is not missing, but due to some licensing issues or something at the BBC, this is missing from BBC iPlayer. So I had to watch it on Dailymotion, and yeah, it wasn't the best quality, so take my rating on this one with a grain of salt. There are two missing Tom Baker serials from iPlayer, both of which are in this season. But as it goes for this one, I wasn't a fan, I'm gonna be honest. It got a 3 overall as a rating, and generally the ratings were in that area anyway. It wasn't exactly very mixed, so yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. I thought it would be because Zygons are quite an interesting alien and an interesting concept for a species, but yeah, I just wasn't that big of a fan of this one. This serial is notable as being the final regular appearance of the Brigadier, though he will appear in other serials later on, just not as a regular character. But other than that, the only thing that I wrote down for this one as a note was that Classic Who really loved their whispery voiced villains. That's kind of all I've got. The Zygons whisper, just like the Ice Warriors do. They love the whispery villains at Doctor Who. I don't really have much to say on this one, to be honest. It was difficult to watch physically because the copy that I was able to view, as I say, it was on Dailymotion, a different streaming site, and that for some reason it was all sort of cut down a smaller size, so I didn't get the full picture, which was kind of annoying. But I got the full story and it was okay. I like stories where you don't really know who's who. I think that's quite an interesting concept for a story, and that's why Zygons are a good villain for the Doctor and his team to go up against. I just didn't think much of this one. Yeah, I just don't have anything to say on it. I'm gonna put it into wibbly wobbly. Sorry. The MVP for the serial is Angus McRonald. Next up is Planet of Evil. So this one scored a 2. Yeah, not a serial I much enjoyed again. Yeah, to be honest, this one, when it came around, with every serial so far in Doctor Who, I sort of remember it from the title alone, or I remember it as it gets going. But in this serial, I got through the entire first part before I went, I don't know any of this. And I definitely watched it before, I definitely saw it before, but I just did not care enough to remember. It's just not a memorable serial, really, this one. It was okay, but it wasn't good enough for me. I don't The issue is, I've watched it twice now, and I didn't remember it the first time I watched it, and I still don't really remember it now. That's it, I just don't remember it. I do remember one thing, because I noted it down. The red eye effect. So certain characters got this red eye effect, and that looked really good. I thought that was done really well, which is surprising with Classic Who effects. It's quite surprising, especially when you consider the green screen monstrosities sometimes that occur. But yeah, the red eye effect on people looked quite good in this serial, so I'll give it that. But story-wise, very unmemorable, didn't enjoy it really. I'm going to put this one into Doctor Who. I didn't hate it enough to put it in the Skyro sewers, because I didn't hate it, I just didn't like it. It was meh. And the MVP for the serial is Baczynski. Next up is Pyramids of Mars. So this is where season 13 starts to get better for me. Pyramids of Mars got a 4. I didn't think this was the best Classic Who serial I've ever seen, but I thought it was enjoyable. I enjoyed watching it, and it was an interesting story. Again, I thought the effects were good with the inside of the sarcophagus, the time tunnel in there. I thought the effects on that looked quite good. I mean, I don't usually call out special effects and stuff because I'm not an aficionado with that stuff. I don't know what does and doesn't look good. I just know what looks good to me. But when it comes to Doctor Who, especially the paperclip budget style of Doctor Who, I think it's a good thing to call out when you see really good special effects for the time, because most people just shit on Doctor Who effects, and I am not like that. So I'm gonna call out good effects. Also, what looked good was Sutek in this serial. I thought he looked really great, great costume, great design. I'm sure glad that wasn't spoiled at any point in future seasons. No, but seriously, he did look really good in this one, and I thought he'd made a good villain. I didn't think he made that good of an impression that he should come back as the season arc big bad in a future season. If I do decide to rank series 11 of New Who onwards, because I'm undecided whether I'll go past series 10 or not. Yeah, I'm just not sure about that. So if I do decide to do that, then you'll hear my thoughts on the new episodes and Sutek's return at that point. But for now, yeah, I thought Sutek was a great villain in this one, and the story was quite interesting. There was a great Nope moment, which I love, when the Doctor and Sarah Jane are walking around a corner and then they see a mummy and they just instantly swivel and walk away. Just a quick swivel and walk away. I love a good Nope moment. Love it. I will say though that this serial once again shows the Doctor as a hypocrite. He's so against weapons and killing this and killing that. He's against weapons even when they're not killing and they're just being used for other things. And in this serial, his plan is for Sarah to grab a gun and shoot something. It's okay when he says to do it, but not when anyone else does it. It's just, look, I'm against guns in general, but in shows like Doctor Who, they have their uses. And this comes a single serial after the Doctor has actually told someone he doesn't carry weapons, he doesn't like weapons. And now he's telling Sarah Jane to pick up a weapon, a gun no less, and to shoot something. Hypocrite. Also, the Doctor is a pyromaniac because I think it was season 2, in one of the best serials of the first Doctor era, The Romans, he causes the Great Fire of Rome. And in this serial, the Doctor is perfectly happy to let an entire priory burn down. It's also confirmed in this serial that the Doctor caused the Great Fire of London. So he's caused 2 great fires of Rome and London, and he let this priory burn down. He's a pyromaniac. Although what's weird is that the 5th Doctor is the one who's there when the Great Fire of London happens and who causes that. So the 4th Doctor knowing about it is kind of weird. All in all, Pyramids of Mars is a good serial, and I don't know whether to put it in Fantastic or Upgrade in Progress, because I don't think it's perfect, but I don't know whether I'm wanting to put it in Fantastic because it's really good compared to the last 2 serials that we've had this season, or whether it's actually deserving of Fantastic. I don't like to judge things based on what's around it, I like to judge it on itself, so it's a bit of a hard one for me. I kind of feel like Upgrade in Progress is too harsh, so I might just put it in Fantastic and call it a day. It's deserved. It would be a low Fantastic, but I think it's still deserved in that tier. And the MVP for the serial is Lawrence Scarman. Next up is The Android Invasion. So I really liked this one and I gave it a 5. This is the final regular unit-based story in Classic Who. Unit does obviously make a couple of appearances in the rest of Doctor Who, but this is the final regular unit-based story with a lot of the characters that we know from Unit. I really like the initial mystery of this episode. I mean, yes, the titles do immediately give the game away as to what's going on, but I do like the initial mystery of the episode, of the empty village and then the people being brought in, everyone acting so weird and still, and then suddenly everyone coming to life. I think that was a really well done opening to the mystery. And at points in this episode, it feels a little bit like that scene in Wild Blue Yonder with the Doctor and Donna and the Not Things, when you can't tell which one's which and who's talking to who, because the Doctor and Sarah Jane get split, as the Doctor and companion always do, and they have to then figure out who's who, and you as the audience member have to try and figure out, is this the real Doctor talking? Is this the real Sarah Jane talking? Are they androids? You just don't know, and I like that. I do love a good, which one of you do I shoot? I don't know. That sort of storyline. It's kind of been done to death in some scenarios, but I love it. I'm a sucker for that trope. There's a point near the beginning when the Doctor and Sarah Jane are being shot at by some androids, and Sarah obviously knows that they're the issue, but the Doctor, I just love the fact that he's just like, oh, something must have annoyed them. Like, he's just so nonchalant about being shot at. I just think it's quite funny to watch that he's so casual about these androids shooting at him. Also, with the 4th Doctor, he does become a cocky little shit in this episode. And it's not exactly his first time being cocky, but I do love it. I love when the Doctor's a cocky little shit because it's so funny to watch, especially when he's cocky with the villains. When he's a cocky little shit with regular people or with good people, the heroes, it does get annoying. And I'm not just talking about the 4th Doctor, any Doctor. It does annoy me because it's like, okay, we know you're clever, calm your shit. But when he's doing it with villains and with people who are actively being cruel or evil, I love it. One downside I have to this serial though is that the bad guy's plan. Now, there's a human working for them and he has an eye patch, because this is spoilers, by the way. If you haven't seen the season yet, why are you even watching this tier list? I'm going to give spoilers. So the guy who has the eye patch, the human, he's been told by the villains that they reconstructed him after he basically exploded or something. And they were able to put everything back in order apart from one eye, which is why he wears the eye patch. That is such a stupid decision on their part, because all he has to do is lift the eye patch just one time and he'll see that he still has his second eye. Like, it's just such a flaw in the plan of the bad guys. I don't understand it, because at the end of the episode, the guy explains it to the doctor and the doctor says, yeah, just lift up the eye patch, mate. Have a look. You've got two eyes. I can tell you now, you've got two eyes. And he does. He looks in the mirror after however long of not looking in the mirror, apparently, and sees the second eye. And it's like, why did you not know that? Like, why would you not look at least once? I understand you may not want to look at an eye socket where an eye used to be when you've had a traumatic experience and you've lost your eye. I get that. But just one time. Did his eye never feel itchy, or did he never cry or anything? Like, nothing in the eye? Like, it's just the one flaw in the episode, because it took me right out of it. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't know you have two eyes? Why did you never look? You're at a point in time where mirrors exist in like every room. So yeah, that annoyed me, so. But regardless of that, I think I'm gonna put this into Fantastic, because I had a great time. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in Fantastic. I think it was a fun serial. It was a good story. I loved the whole who's who of everything, or who's the real one of everything. And yeah, it was good. And the MVP of the serial is the very first android who appears and sort of flails about mechanically. It's quite fun to watch and drags you straight into the mystery of the episode right from the off. I don't think he has a name, so I thought I'd give a description of sorts. Next up is The Brain of Morbius. So this one got another 5 and I really enjoyed it. It got all 5s, the whole thing's a 5. It's practically a perfect serial for me. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great way of including new Time Lords into stories without using the Master or Gallifrey in general. I thought the idea of the Sisterhood of Khan was really interesting, and yeah, I like the fact that there's a Time Lord out there who has his own cult, just because why not? I don't really know what happened to the cult, because all we saw is that one Dr. Frankenstein guy. But yeah, I love the serial. I had enjoyed this one before, but this was better than I remembered it being anyway, so impressed. And as I mentioned, the Dr. Frankenstein character, this whole serial really feels very Frankenstein-esque to me. Not in the Mary Shelley Frankenstein version, I just mean the general Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster thing. Have you seen Morbius, his body? Morbius 2 just looks a bit... yeah. I do wish that we'd been able to see at least a flashback to Morbius's original form before he became just a brain and then was turned into a very fascinating looking creature. Very fascinating. But I thought regardless of that, Morbius was a really interesting villain, and I love the idea of introducing new villainous and renegade Time Lords. They're rascals, they are. And speaking of Time Lords, the Doctor walks out of the TARDIS at the beginning when they land on Khan and just starts screaming at the sky, but like to the Time Lords through the sky. It was a really funny moment. I mean, what else can he do? And I just loved that. I loved that. I thought that was really funny. And the Sisterhood of Khan, who are somehow related to Time Lords. I think they're like Shobogans and they sort of split off at some point. In their case, they went to Khan and have a different way of rejuvenating themselves, which I think is interesting. But they remind me a lot of the Sibylline Sisterhood in The Fires of Pompeii. The way that they look with their robes and the way they act, just like a little similarity there. And ironically, the Doctor actually mentions in this serial both Pompeii and Vesuvius, which obviously in The Fires of Pompeii, he was inside Vesuvius and caused it to erupt. So just thought that was quite interesting. Nice little links. Now, the bad guy, the mad scientist Frankenstein bad guy. Why is he only looking for a head for Morbius? If you're going to use body parts, you're going to use whatever is there. I get it. You're going to use whatever's there, whatever's available, whatever you can. And he sees the Doctor and he's like, oh, he has a perfectly good head. But he also has a perfectly good everything else. Like, why did he not just transplant Morbius's brain into the Doctor's body and give Morbius a full normal body, and a Time Lord body at that. I'm pretty sure the evil scientist guy found out later on the Doctor's a Time Lord. But why didn't he just do that? Why did he carry on with the monster version? Why not just go, oh hey Morbius, I got you a whole new body and it's the Time Lord one, you're good? I don't get that. Because really, what need would the Doctor, the decapitated Doctor, have for the rest of his body after he's decapitated? It doesn't make sense. Just use the whole body. Although, one thing about him is that he is anti-rape, so we applaud him for that. So Sarah Jane at one point went blind, and she was being held hostage by the mad scientist and his servant, and the servant took a liking to Sarah Jane, and while she was lying down blind, he started sort of touching her, and she clearly recoiled from that, and the mad scientist immediately goes, okay, yeah, fuck off, she doesn't like it. I applaud him for that. Like, he may be an evil scientist, but he does not pass the final line in the hierarchy of evil. He does not stand for rape, and we applaud him for that. He steals people's heads, but he won't allow his minion to start touching a woman. He's got that going for him. So, all that being said, I think I'm going to put this one into Ooh because I really like it, and it has a lot of Doctor Who-esque things in there. It is probably one that I would suggest to someone to watch, so I'm going to put it into Ooh. And the MVP for the serial is Ohika. The final serial of the season is The Seeds of Doom. So this one is the other serial of the season which is missing from BBC iPlayer at the time of recording, and I had to watch on Dailymotion. So it wasn't the best viewing experience, but I did manage to watch it all. And I didn't remember this one either, not gonna lie to you. I gave this one a 3 overall. I thought it was quite an okay serial. I kind of felt like it was 2 serials in one. I know it was a longer one, it was a 6-episode one, but I felt like it was 2 in one. There was like the base under siege at the beginning, and then you had the heist type storyline, I guess. It's the closest thing I can think of for that one. So it kind of felt like 2 different stories in one that were just sort of connected. It was alright. It was enjoyable enough. There were definitely moments that were better than others. I do think that it should have just been cut down a bit, because the base under siege bit or the heist bit were fine, but episodes 3 and 4 just felt like a big rinse and repeat as the Doctor and Sarah kept getting captured and then escaping, trying to do something, getting captured, escaping, trying to do... It just felt a bit too samey. Like I was getting bored of them being captured and escaping in the same serial over and over again. I do think it could have been shorter. 2 things I love. The first off is Sarah Jane at the beginning of the serial wears a lovely bubble hat and scarf. I love the bubble hat and scarf. Beautiful colours. Beautiful. And also the makeup for the crinoids when it's the human turning into the thing. I thought that looked really good. The actual sort of disease makeup, whether it was prosthetics or makeup or whatever it was, I liked that. I thought that was really good. The storyline in general kind of reminds me a little bit of The Power of the Daleks, one of the second Doctor stories that I love, because they're sort of bringing something back to life, as it were, and the something happens to be a big villain. But the difference is, in Power of the Daleks, the guy on Vulcan who was bringing the Daleks back to life, he knew what the Daleks were. He fully knew what he was doing. He just thought he could control them. Whereas in this one, Stevenson, who was trying to aid this plant back to life on the base, he had no idea. He just thought he'd found a plant, a living organism that was still alive, and he was trying to help it and nurture it to grow and live. So I don't see anything that he did wrong in this one. He was just trying to help something to live. So that's the only difference there. It's like Power of the Daleks, but if the guy doing the helping to survive didn't actually know that he was helping a villain to survive. He didn't know what the crinoids were. He didn't know it was a crinoid. He just thought it was a plant. So I can forgive him for that one. But overall, I don't know. I don't know whether to put it in upgrade in progress or wibbly wobbly. Thinking back on it, I feel like there was more that I liked than I didn't like. I might be generous and give it an upgrade in progress. I do like it, I just think it was too long. Had it been more concise, had it been 4 episodes long, I think the story would have been better for me. But I did like it. I thought the crinoid was good. I thought the makeup effects were good. I just think it was just too long, and that's probably the reason for the rinse and repeat storylines of episodes 3 and 4, is that it was just too long a serial. So I do think that it was good, just if it had been a bit more concise, it would have been better. And the MVP for the serial is Amelia Ducat. That is season 13, all tier listed. Looking at the season stats, the most common score for a serial was a 3, and the season average score was a 3.62. For the quote of the season, it was tricky. From the 4th Doctor onwards, there are so many quotes that I pick out because the writing just got better from the 4th Doctor onwards in the small snippets of conversations between characters. So it becomes harder for me to hold back from putting quotes in my spreadsheet because, yes, I made a spreadsheet. I picked a quote for this season, which I think is a good one for describing how to get shit done in the world. And by that I mean how to convince the people in power to get shit done. So it's a conversation between the Doctor and Thackeray. And the Doctor says, if we don't find that pod before it germinates, it'll be the end of everything. Everything, you understand? Even your pension. And Thackeray, who has up until now been refusing to help, says, very well, Doctor, you've made your point. All the facilities of this bureau will be placed at your disposal. Threaten a bureaucrat's pension. They're going to get shit done to prevent that. So I thought that was a good quote. But that is it. That is season 13 tier listed. It looks like quite a mixed season. It looks very mixed. There is something in almost every tier. Luckily, nothing in Scar Sewers. So nothing in this season was bad as such, just that there were clearly ones I enjoyed more than others in this season. So what do you think? Do you think Terror of the Zygons deserves to be higher than Wibbly Wobbly? Do you think that Planet of Evil is the best serial and I should remember every single moment of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you next time for season 14.